guys, welcome back to Making Games with Unity. So on our last video, we show you on how to create a simple score UI, and then we also show you how to create a custom event that you need to dispatch when you hit the enemy. And then after that event happen, you can increment the score and update the score display. And now we're going to play that scene again. So right now, when we play this, you can move. So right now, what happened is when we hit the enemy, we destroy them. But it's not good. It's not optimized. So now, what we are planning to do is instead of destroying the enemy, we will just hide them. And then if you kill all the enemy, we will just show everything again. So let's get started. I already created the script before this video so that this video will become more faster, and yeah, it will be much easier for you guys. So right now our goal is to hide the enemy instead of just destroying them. So first thing we need to do is we need to create a enemy controller. So go here in project view, and then for now I'm going to create a folder. Let's name it of simple object fooling. So right now what we are going to do with the enemy is we are just going to hide them. Actually it's not fooling, but it's the start of object fooling. So let's get started here. So let's see if we already have a enemy controller here. Okay, we don't have any enemy controller. We're going to create that. Right click on the project view, click create, then C# script. Let's name it enemy controller, and then inside the enemy controller we're just going to add one public variable, which is index. Let's wait for it. Alright, so inside that we're just going to add a public variable called index. We will use this to track on which enemy is being hit by the bullet. And then yeah, there's something there. Control Alt O to remove that. We don't need that. So now we have an enemy controller, and we just need to wait for it to be saved. It's already saved. So right now we have an enemy here. So we can just delete this all enemy here because we have a prepub for that. So we can go to the project view, go to prepubs folder, click the enemy, click the open prepub. So now we are here inside the prepub editor, and then we're going to drag the enemy script on the enemy. Click the enemy, drag the enemy controller which we created inside here. Click that, drag it, and then actually we are not going to touch anything. After we drag that, that's fine. And then next thing that we need to do is we need to create a enemy manager. So to create that enemy manager, let's first create a enemy manager script. Right click on the project view, click create, click C# script, enemy manager. Let's name it enemy manager. You can name it any name that you want, but for now we're going to name it enemy manager. So the goal or the purpose of enemy manager is he's the one who's going to track the status of the enemies. So we open that enemy manager. So right now, because I already created the script, so I'm just going to copy and paste them one by one, and I'm just going to explain them to you. So the first thing is the builds. Okay, I'm going to copy paste the builds now. Alright, so This is a lot. So the first public variable is the enemy prepub. This is the prepub of our enemy. The second one is the origin. This is the location where our enemy will be placed in the scene. And then next is the enemy count, how many enemy you want to put on the screen or in your game or in your scene. And then the distance between enemy is the distance between them. I'm just going to instantiate the enemy and align them in front of our player. And then next is enemy collection. This is a array of game object. It means when we create a new enemy, we will put it inside this enemy collection. So this is a type of array. So if you're new to C# programming, you can search that on Google. But this one is just a generic array of game object. The next one is hide count. This is just for tracking on how many enemy is being hide. Because when the bullet hit the enemy, instead of destroying them, we are just going to hide them. Okay, so that's the build. The next thing that we need to create is the methods. So right now we have methods here. I'm just going to copy them again. Alright, so I'm just going to put them here. So what happened right now is we have some error here. So it's looking for the enemy controller. Why? Let's check the enemy controller. Yes, should be capital because it's public. With that, alright, it's capital now. So the enemy manager is fine now. So I'm going to just put our regions so that everything is fine, so that it will be alright. So let's explain this method. Create enemy is the one who will create the enemy at the beginning, or when we play the game, or when we hit the play button. And then inside here, it will check the enemy count, and then it will just loop. For example, we put 5 here, right? It means this loop will generate a 5 enemy, meaning this set of code will be called 5 times. It means it will create an enemy with enemy count 5. So in here, we are just calculating the position of each enemy. So the enemy will be placed in front of you, and then it will just go to the right of the screen. So the origin position that we set up, and then the distance that we set up here, meaning every enemy have a space in between them using this distance between enemy. This line of code here is the one who's responsible for instantiating our enemy prepub. Here we're using the enemy prepub here, which we put here, and then we're using the new position X, which is the X position of our enemy, and then we're just going the origin Y and origin Z. The origin Y and the origin Z is the position that we're just going to put on our inspector. We haven't set it yet, but we're going to do that after we discuss all the codes here. The enemy controller is the one that we made here. It means when we create a new enemy, we will put a value on the index of each enemy controller. So meaning if this is 0, and then we'll put index 0, and then after that we're going to put the enemy on our enemy collection, which is the array of game object. Again, if you still don't know what is array, you can search Google about array for C#. So right now we're just using a generic array. There's different type of array. but right now we're just going to use this. So that's our enemy collection. Hide enemy method is just for hiding enemy. So when the bullet hit the enemy, it will check the index, and then the index will be thrown here, and then we will hide the specific enemy using the index. Show all enemy, this will just show all enemy, which the one that we hide. Hide all enemy, this will just hide all the enemy. Using the enemy count, it will just loop through inside our enemy collection using this eye, and then it will just hide everything. So right now, that's all the method for that. I'm going to cut this and paste it in the beginning, because when we run the enemy manager, we need to call we need to call this one. This will initialize our enemy collection array. So right now we put enemy 5 count here, right? And then it will initialize a array of 5 length or size. If we don't do this to generic array, yeah, we will have a null value because the size is not correct, or 0 or null. Alright, the next thing we need to call on the start method is the create enemy. This create enemy will call this create enemy that we explained before. It will just initialize our enemy prefab depends on the enemy count, and then we are just positioning them in front of the player, and then the region X, which is the new position X, will be changed. I know it's confusing, but if you see it on the scene, you'll know the clear picture of it. So right now, let's save this, save the enemy manager, save the enemy controller. So right now, that's the 2 major code for the enemy, and now we're going to try that. Alright, it's saved. Let's create an empty game object here. Let's call it enemy manager, and then we will drag the enemy manager to it, and then so we need an enemy prefab here. So go to our project, go to prefabs, click the enemy manager again, and then we can drag the enemy prefab on that location. And then some tip, for example, you click this, right, and then you're looking for something here. There's a chance that you click other things and then this inspector will be changed. So some tips, you can click the enemy manager, see this lock here, you can click that lock, and then you can freely search things here. Even you click other things, this inspector won't change, so you are free to drag the enemy prefab here. Select the enemy prefab, then drag it there. So after you're done dragging that, you can unlock the padlock here, because if you don't do that, it will just stay on enemy manager inspector forever. So now we're going to put the region. This is where our enemy prefabs or our enemy will be instantiated, meaning this is the place where the enemy will be placed on the scene. So I'm just going to put -3 here, then some value here, maybe 0, 0, and 5, the distance from the player, and then enemy count and distance between them. Let's try it. Hit play, and now we have an enemy in our front right now, so we can move and shoot them. So right now what's happening is we're just destroying them, right? So our plan today is, instead of destroying them, we're just going to hide them. So we can check to our bullet and then go to our bullet controller, and then we need to modify our bullet controller. So right now I'm going to check my bullet controller that I already created. So right now we have a custom event here, which is enemy died, and we need to change this method into something else. So I'm going to add a parameter here, int. It means when we dispatch this custom event, we will also pass a value. So here we get an error because it's expecting some values, which is the index of our enemy. So right now we need to build that in. So what happened is we need to first get the reference for our enemy controller, which is this one. It means this outer, we're going to check the game object and we're going to get the component enemy controller. Once we have the enemy controller here, we can freely pass the enemy controller index to our enemy died custom event, and then we need to listen to it on our enemy manager. Alright, we can go inside now our enemy manager, and now we need to add a listener. So to listen to that enemy handler, you need to add this. So yeah, I think you're getting confused, right? So go back to our bullet controller. This is the custom event that we just created. This one have a static, meaning we can access it anywhere. So right now in our enemy manager, we can have this and then access the enemy died, and we can create an enemy handler controller here. So right now this is not yet there. We can create that, and then we can remove this part here. We don't need that, and then we change this to index so that we're not going to get confused. And then we're going to put it inside the region events. And then this is the index of the enemy that is being hit, right? We can call this hide enemy now here and pass the index. It means it will just hide the enemy. See here, set active false. So now we can go back to our bullet controller. We can now hide the destroy. Instead of destroying the enemy, we're just going to dispatch this to hide the enemy, and that's better than keep on destroying things, because this will make your game slow, because it will trigger the garbage collection, which is the GZ, and you don't want that to happen. And then we have some error here, UI score controller, because we change our bullet custom event here to add a inside, right? When we call it or when we dispatch it, we need to fix this. Right now it's looking for that int, so we're just going to put that index. For now, this UI score controller here don't have any use for the index, but soon we can use this index to get some information about the enemy, and then each enemy can have different score, right? So we can use this index to access that different score. But for now, we're just going to leave that, and then we're going back to the enemy manager. So right now we are listening to that enemy died, and then of course when we listen, we always need to remove the listener when we don't need it. So that's why we need on destroy here, and then we put some negative equal enemy handler controller. So that's it, and then remove this update. We don't need this. And then I'm going to check my existing code here to check if everything is okay. So save this one, save the enemy manager, save the enemy controller, save the UI score controller, and I think everything is all set because we already have an enemy manager here with a enemy manager script on it. So let's save. So now let's play it. So now instead of destroying it, we're just hiding them. And then when we hit the last enemy, it will just show everything again. Hit. Alright, it didn't happen. Alright, we need to check our code because my code that I created show them all. Okay, because we didn't put some code here. Because when you hit an enemy, we need to increment the hide code. The hide count, and then if the hide count is equal enemy count, we're just going to show everything again. Alright, I think that's fix it. Save, and then clear, save again. Let's hit play. So we're going to hit all the enemy, and then if all the enemy is hit, we'll just show them all again. Alright, come on. Alright, last enemy. See? After we kill all the enemy, we just show them again. So we can continue hitting them again and again. So this one is better because we're not destroying the game object. And then by doing that, we're not triggering the garbage collection. It means we're just reusing the enemy instead of destroying them, and that's called object pooling. But now this is just a simple or one step towards object pooling. This is not yet a complete object pooling, but you can also call it object pooling, a very simple one. So because this is just a basic, so we're just doing it slowly. So on our next episode, we're going to deal with this bullet, because right now you keep on creating a lot of bullets. So here, check your hierarchy view here. You get a lot of bullet clone, and you keep on creating that again and again, and that is also bad because yeah, you're not destroying it, but you keep on creating something again, or you keep on creating game object bullet again and again, and then in the end your app or your game will lag or crash because this bullet use a resources from your machine or from your mobile, and that resources is limited, it's not unlimited. So we have to deal with this bullet. We need to object pull them. In layman's term, we need to reuse them instead of keep on creating. So we don't destroy, we don't just create again and again. We need to reuse things. It's like in the real world, we need to recycle things because everything is not unlimited, everything is limited. So we need to know how to manage our resources. Same with Unity or any other game engine. So I hope you learned something today. I hope you learned a small step towards object pooling, towards reusing object instead of destroying them. And yes, there's a part 2 of this video, because if I'm going to show you the object pooling of the bullet, it will be a long video. So yeah, there's a part 2 for this. And again, I hope you learned something. I hope you get some idea about reusing object instead of destroying them. And yep, if you haven't subscribed yet on our channel, please subscribe, because we need that so for us to make more of this video. And then please like it also and share with your friends. And yes, I think that's it for now. I hope you learn, and I hope this video is very helpful to you. And yeah, see you on the next video, the part 2 of this video, and have a nice day, guys.